Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Ryan Harper.
And
Kristin GERST.
And it's Monday morning.
So we're starting up a thing. Basically, we've been piddle-paddling all summer about doing a passing notes thing. We've been doing the passing notes group for about a month and a half, 2 months now, and it's been great. And then Kristin on yesterday was like, hey, let's do a thing where we do a thing and let's...
I know. And spread knowledge to lots of people.
Spread the love throughout the world. So the first thing we want to talk about is paper. What is paper? Because a lot of this network show, whatever you want to call it, is passing notes, and note is paper, but what is paper? And a lot of times in real estate, especially with people like yourself or Grant Kemp or any of these guys that are like know what the hell they're talking about, it's you forget what's the easy, what's the hard. And if you're just talking to a layman, like when you hear paper, I'm like, what, like notebook paper? Like piece of paper?
Yeah.
Like you need to take like, what are you talking about?
You would be surprised how many times I'll be in the middle of like an hour-long presentation and I'll be talking about how to invest in mortgage notes, and somebody will raise their hand and go, so you get to buy and own a house? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, but if you own the paper, that means you own the house.
Absolutely not.
What does that mean?
Well, that means it's kind of like if Bank of America loans you money to buy your house. Does Bank of America own your house? No, you own your house.
But even then, some people, it depends what state you are in. Because certain states, like, what is it? I have no clue what I'm talking about. But you don't technically you own the house, but you don't own the house until you pay off the mortgage.
That's something different. That's contract for deed.
That's what I'm saying.
So we're just talking about mortgage notes, either in a deed of trust state, which a deed of trust state is where you have a trustee that looks over it, and you don't have to go to a judge to foreclose on that.
Which is not exactly what we're talking about, but that's paper.
That's paper.
A contract's on a paper.
That's a paper. And then
that's a paper.
That's a paper.
Yeah.
That's the type of paper. And then if it's not a deed of trust state, you have a mortgage state, where you do have to go get permission for the judge to foreclose. Or what you're talking about, contract for deed.
You know, it's rude to point.
I know.
So, but when we talk about paper, because there's so many, there's so many songs about chasing paper, or there's
chasing paper.
I don't know.
I think that's money.
Right.
Which is funny.
That's the point.
Because money is actually made out of fabric.
Oh, my God. Anyway, but the point being is paper... notes, money, all these things, it's the same thing, but it's different. It's all different as well.
Well, and the crazy thing is you can have notes that, I mean, a note is just a promise to pay somebody. Right? They've loaned you money, and the note describes what the terms are that you're paying that money back. And you can have those for your car. You can have it for even a title loan. So where you get to keep your car, but then you go and have a note made where you're borrowing money against that.
I feel like this chair is making... I'm just going to stand.
You're going to stand?
Yeah, because I'm making too much sound.
Am I going to have to stand?
No, you're fine.
All right, cool.
I'll just change my camera angle.
We're going to have to, like, redo everything.
No, we won't. We're
okay.
fine. I'm a pro. Just keep talking.
Am I going to look like the guy from, from, what was it, the Tim the Toolman Taylor show, where you only saw like the top of a neighbor?
First of all, you're aging yourself. No one knows that reference anymore.
I think that's wrong. I think there's a lot of people out there going, yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry for the...
All right, so do you just want me to talk about paper and notes while you're running around?
Yeah.
So... talking about, what paper is. This is, see?
Yeah,
we're either going to look at your chest or we're going to...
My chest is great.
All right. Zoom out. Nice.
Well, it's either that or I'll stay back here.
Oh, yeah, that's not creepy. All right.
Well, screw it.
Screw it. You're going to sit on your squeaky chair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's squeaky. And now I screwed up my camera.
I love Monday mornings. People are like, what the hell is going on here?
It's fine. Nobody cares. But you know what? This is my Andy Kaufman. Like, this is all planned. Sekou, is it working? The whole joke, the whole gig?
It's hilarious. It's killing.
It's killing.
It's killing the stream. It's killing the vibe. All of that was not paper.
No, none of that was paper.
Anyway.
So no, the biggest confusion is when you're trading paper or buying and selling notes, is that you have any responsibility for that actual physical property that it's attached to, and you have none. So, and that's what I like about it. You know, there's no liability in a piece of paper.
So no liability, but like when people are just talking paper, like, and I know I've already talked about this, but forgive me, my brain's a little shoveled from moving around. But like, what is, because I know it's easy for you or somebody that's been in the industry to like comprehend those things, but what are the things that people are most tripped up on, like when it comes to paper? Like, are people like, is it the concept of that money can be the note, be the deal, be the contract? Because a lot of people will think, you know, they will call the contract a piece of paper. I mean, it is a piece of paper, but you know what I mean.
Right. No, and that's
like,
true.
oh, get the contract, get the paper.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about something a little bit.
But
like,
that's why I wanted to.
What is paper? Or yeah, maybe, you know, paper entails a lot of things. You know, I just deal with actual notes,
right,
in different forms, and do those. You know, is that a certain type of paper? I would probably agree that it is, because you're right. I mean, you could have contract for deed, and in a lot of states, when you buy a house from somebody, you don't actually own that property, not legally, until you pay that thing off.
So for our purposes here in our conversation here, paper is the note that therefore you have, I don't want to use the word liability because I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but you're basically taking off all the responsibilities of home ownership.
Right.
And you just get the money.
Right.
Or like a...
The money. I like how you say that.
I forget what that
Can
guy's...
you do that again?
I forget his name. Monet.
I
forgot his name. Anyway, he's one of the guys in the real estate world where he's big on TikTok and Instagram now, and he's like, you got to get the money. So...
yeah, and that's why I like it, because I don't have to budget for vacancy. I don't have to budget for make readies. I don't have to budget for theft or vandalism, which I used to deal with all the time. And so when you're looking at all of that, you actually, I know personally from my own portfolio that I make more money trading paper, trading notes, than I do
trade that paper.
Than I do renting property. So as an actual just straight rental.
Well, to me it's kind of funny when like I saw this a couple days ago on Instagram when a realtor friend of mine was one of her properties, somebody had broken in and stolen all the brand new appliances. And they seen it, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that sucks, but at least they didn't take the copper.
Yeah, and rip through your walls.
Yeah.
Or although, I mean, how many of us have shown up at a property and it looks intact? Mm-hmm. You know, and then when you actually get down to it, they've like gone and just cut it at like the outlets and pulled it all the way through at the attic, or sometimes just cut it in the attic.
But my point to that is like the reality of looking at a shitty thing and going, well, it ain't that shitty because it could have been a lot shittier.
Yeah, well, depending on that house. Well, yeah. How expensive was that house? How expensive were those appliances?
Yeah. So I guess...
But again, with paper, you don't have to worry about that.
Right. So I guess the overarching question of what is paper, it's, in our terms in this conversation, it's simply holding the mortgage note and not the house itself.
Correct.
But because you're hopefully, when you're talking about paper, you're the first lien, which I know is we're getting into a little bit different, but it's the same. You have the first right to foreclose. You do.
Well, as long as you're in the first lien position.
Right, which is a whole other conversation. But it's a relevant conversation because when this is going to get if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, it's going to get stupid real quick. Because technically, a second lien or a third lien, that's kind of paper, isn't it?
Oh, it's paper.
Yeah.
It's paper. You have to know, what lien you're invested in.
Yeah.
And, that will a lot of times be, the risk is mitigated by how much interest you're charging. And
what about a handyman lien?
that is also one.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on if it was legally
Right.
recorded and posted on there. But yeah, you can buy handyman liens. You can buy, or contractor liens. You can buy almost about any piece of paper that's out there on the market.
Right.
And invest in it. And some of those, especially the second and the third liens, you can buy those cheap.
Have you ever seen, because I think I was talking to Jess about this, and it could have been not, but because he has like well over $100,000 worth of liens out there.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to some investors about them right now.
About buying them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Jess or anybody?
No, from Jess.
Yeah, but
so
okay.
I've got like I said, this is what I need, and I had him fill out this little spreadsheet. So we filled it all out, and I've got it in front of me.
So something like that, and we don't need to get into his particulars, but
it doesn't go for very much. And
right, because it's basically that's a good question. What makes paper worthless or valuable?
Right. So in Jess's situation with this, it's non-performing. So he's not collecting any payments on it. He doesn't have any.
The only way he could ever collect is if they were trying to sell.
Correct. But that doesn't stop somebody from who's vertically integrated to go after people for debt, to basically scare the shit out of people for debt, right?
Right.
And so they've got call centers, and they've got ways that they get people to pay, and so they'll go in and buy it cheap. They know that maybe they're going to hit home runs on maybe 20-25% of those. And then they'll do, so good on like the next 50%. And then they're going to lose on like the last 20 or 25. And they'll write those off probably even more.
Right. And then whoever buys that, well, they'll write it off and they'll go for it. And that's when you hear pennies on the dollar type of thing.
It's pennies on the dollar when it's even when it gets started. So even if they're they're going to buy them at 10-20 cents somewhere around there, and again we'll see where the offers come in at. But if they're buying them at 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and they get hopefully 75% to pay off, it's a winner.
Say it's $100,000 debt, and you're buying it for $10,000. Like $20,000, that is a risk, especially if there's no payout.
It's a lot of money, and you might not be paid out on any of it.
Right. So but if you think about it, it's a better bet than going to a casino and jumping on bet on black or whatever that is.
Well, if you were really good at scaring,
because I've never been to a casino.
If you were really good at scaring people into pay, say the mob. Maybe you're the mob, right? And you're going to go break some kneecaps if they don't pay you. Or you maybe present that to these people. Hi, I bought your debt.
Right.
I'm going to come find you if you don't pay this.
Well, and I think, and this is where those being a well-rounded real estate investor comes into play, because immediately when I'm thinking a situation like that with that paper and that debt, and say in that situation it is $100,000, and you were able to buy it for $10,000-$20,000.
Right.
And you put them on a payment plan.
Correct.
With interest.
Yes.
And say they only pay back $10,000-$20,000 worth of your thing. Now you have a performing note that you could offload, sell to a Kristin GERST, and then you get the entire principal that you just made. Not that it made, but you could sell it for 40% of the dollar because it's performing now.
Yes. So you get more for the performers than you do for the non-performers. But again, with them, it's a lottery. And a lot of times they will go in and all right, so we've got 10 loans, right, that all equal $100,000. Well, I'm going to pay $10,000 for that. The idea is that I'm going to get one to pay off in full, and then the rest, okay, well, I'll only take, 5,000 or 6,000. So you'll settle for a lesser amount, but then to get paid off.
But that's why...
Or put someone on payment plans, and then you've got cash flow coming in off of it.
All of this we're getting really creative, but I think in its very nature, when you hear chasing paper or passing notes or anything like that, it's all about getting creative because you're trying to chase the money and like getting creative, like as like Grant would say, creative cash flow or whatever. Which everything's, you just got to, the more creative you could be,
right?
It's all about chasing the paper.
But again, it's how you buy the property, or
Always.
not the property. It's how you buy the piece of paper, the note, right? Well, you had Grant in my head. Grant buys property, I buy paper, and there's the distinct difference.
Right.
If you're going in and you're buying that paper for 10 or 20% of its value, you've got a lot of room there to negotiate down what that total amount that they need to pay. And that goes for, and I mean, typically, if you're talking about a mechanics lien, like, Jess's stuff, you've got that, but then you also you'll probably have a first or second lien ahead of it. So God forbid that homeowner forecloses. Really, what you're really hoping for is if you can't come to an agreement on that specific lien right there, that they go and they sell that house in the foreseeable future, because as soon as they try to sell it, you will be paid off.
Right. Well, or they're like, well, shit, I can't sell this thing.
Either or.
Yeah.
But likelihood is they're going to want to sell, and even if they'll probably come to you and go, hey, is that deal still on the table?
Right.
Which it's not.
Sorry, Michael, if I butcher your last name.
Oh, Dornbus.
Dornbus.
Yeah, I know, Michael.
Anyway, I thank you, sir. I agree. Pointing is rude. And Kimberly Ware, I see you, Sharon. Thank you for sharing. Lovely to see you as always. So today we're just talking about paper and what is paper, trading paper, notes, all those things.
The hardest thing for investors, any investors out there, and really just any layman to wrap it around, is that I literally buy a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Instead of a physical house.
Well, and then some jack, I don't want to say that word, but some rude individual will be like, but is it really paper? It's an email.
Is it an email?
Well, I'm just saying, because you don't.
No, it's literally a piece of paper.
But you could do DocuSign.
No.
Ooh.
No, you can't. Ooh. No. In fact, I require in fact, we're doing it right now. I'm buying 2 loans this week, and he no longer has the actual piece of paper with the blue ink signature.
He does not have that?
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what do you do?
We have to have an attorney recreate the note, and then we have to have it messengered over to the homeowner and have them sign it.
All the ins and outs of this business.
I know. It's crazy. But I have to have anything that's not recorded down at the county with the deal. So, the deed of trust is recorded, but not that physical note. So, in any time that there's a sale or a transfer of that lien, there's an assignment of lien that is recorded, but not the note endorsement. So I have to have that piece of paper as well.
Right. I think it all comes down to, again, like I said before, about being creative and having the tenaciousness to pursue. Because how many times have we seen the stupidest people in the world be successful in real estate because they work their ass off?
Yeah, they're hard workers.
I think that's my problem. I'm just too smart for this.
Well, and they find one thing that they're good at.
She didn't hear that.
I heard it. But you're great at real estate. You're behind the camera. It's all good. You probably have more knowledge than.
Oh, I know I have more knowledge
than most of the people.
I'm talking about myself when I say stuff like that.
No, I know. No, you've got more knowledge than most people.
$80,000 on this, blah blah blah, and I'm like, that idiot.
Yeah.
That guy.
You're like, I know that there's.
Yeah, it is what it. But again, it's the work and the application at work and being able to listen, and then consume stuff like this where it's like, what the hell are they talking about? But then being able, there's a thing called Google where I can research it.
Right.
Because there's probably at least 12 different times in this 20 minutes we've been on so far about. What did they say? What is that?
Right.
What is this? What is that?
So instead, it's the successful person is not just going to tune out. They're going to take that. They're going to Google it. They're going to rewind it a little bit. Go figure out what they've got.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
again, but when I say paper, because a lot of people have heard, just my story of how I got into notes.
Yeah.
And I had rental properties, and they drove me crazy. I could never figure out what my monthly bills were going to be, what I was going to have to do, what I was going to have to rehab if somebody, somebody moved out of one of them, and I turned them all into paper.
So, because paper is used in so many different languages, not languages, but as I'm before, the money, the contract, that. But in real estate, paper is the note. So if you own a gajillion rentals, that's awesome, but you don't own the paper.
No.
Unless you own a gajillion notes as well.
Well, I mean, you can own a bunch of properties free and clear.
If you own it free and clear, do you own the paper?
There's no paper on it.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah. The paper's just the debt. So I believe in having debt and owning debt over owning properties.
So
now I do have to have a few.
In real estate conversations, when you hear paper, all that means is debt. So paper equals debt.
Right.
And if you can own the debt, then you can be
the bank. And always be the bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was hoping she didn't say sandwich. I understand that thing where it's like, we finish each other's sandwiches. No, sentences. So, cool. Yeah, exactly, Kimberly. Buy the paper. So I think that about sums up that entire, I know we probably could have
said that in 30 seconds?
15 seconds.
I know, but then we wouldn't have had got to
I
watch
know,
you
like
run
me
around
running around like crazy going, how many? Oh, the squeaky chair. Bah. I even combed my hair a bit. You like that?
So, yeah. No, but as far as, talking to everybody out there of, why it's more advantageous, and people really should look into paper and to invest in notes, just because, in my opinion, your risk is a hell of a lot lower.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, what we can ask you is, I forgot what I was going to say. If we can ask y'all to please like, share, comment below. This is a new thing, but it's not necessarily a new thing. Like Kristin and I have known each other about 5-6 years now. Been working together, doing media stuff for about 3.5, almost 4 years now. So, but this is passing notes is technically new. That's why I still don't have a profile picture on the Facebook page, and the YouTube page is new. So if you like it, you subscribe to it, you share it. That'll be most beneficial. I'm Ryan Harper. You can follow me on Instagram, Ryan S. Harper, or Twitter, Ryan S. Harper, or YouTube, Ryan S. Harper, or Facebook, Ryan S. Harper. I'm everywhere. And this...
I'm Kristin GERST. You can follow me on Kristin GERST, Instagram, and Capricorn Mortgage Investments. Find me there. And if you have any notes for sale, I would love to take a look at them. Performing, nationwide, I'm buying.
Yes. And if you are interested in learning about notes, we do have a, I say we, it's mainly Kristin, I'm just helping facilitate, a note mastermind group where we meet twice a week to have different presentations, but that you have also access to Kristin, and you also have a head start on any loans that she may have.
And deal analysis
loans.
and
Paper. I should use the word paper.
Loans, paper.
Same thing.
Notes.
Debt.
How to buy debt, how to invest in debt. And the goal is to have a massive group of all of us who are millionaire note investors or billionaire note investors.
Conquer the world.
And conquer the world.
Excellent.
One piece of paper at a time.
Well, cool. Well, any final thoughts? That's about it for me.
No.
Other than paper.
We'll be back Wednesday,
dead.
right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
You might go, that didn't work too good. Push the MP2 button and then write us out.